Yo, 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 Wagwan. It's your guy, O'Day, the Jamaican sensation. And we are here with season 3 of the Wagwan with O'Day Osborne. And again, if you don't know what Wagwan means, it's patois for what's going on. And today, joining me in the studio, we have UFC commentator Brendan Fitzgerald. I'm sorry, Brendan.
I got you.
I almost botched your last name. You have one of those general last names, like a sergeant. You know what I mean? Sergeant Fitzgerald reporting for duty.
Is that what it sounds like to you?
It does.
Fitzgerald, nice, strict Irish name. Brendan Fitzgerald.
Is that what the origin is?
Yeah, that's totally Irish. Anything with a Fitz in front of it.
Really?
That's coming from Ireland.
Oh, man.
Wagwan, O'Day. Thanks for having me on, buddy.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I've been wanting to have you on for a minute. And I was just on your show yesterday.
That's right.
You know, it's always so funny to me. Whenever I'm on other people's show, I feel like I have to be so professional and like watch what I say. Whenever on my show, I'm like, fuck it, anything goes.
You did. You swore yesterday and you immediately apologized. I said, dude, we're on YouTube and streaming. Like, this is fine. You're good. There's no rules.
Oh man, I don't know the rules, man. It's like I said. Whenever I know when I'm on my show, it's like there's no rules.
So O'Day's rules.
Yeah, anything goes on Wagwan, man.
Right.
If you've seen the episode with Jamal Hill and Buckley, you know that for sure.
Yes.
So, how you feeling about this card coming up this week?
Oh yeah, man, it's great. The Apex has been churning out events left and right, and you know, on paper, sometimes you look at a card and you're just like, oh, okay, there's a few good fights, whatever, and then sure enough, you get some absolute heaters. Like Joaquin was at the Apex a couple weeks ago, and it was like, again, that was a fight card on paper where I think a lot of fight fans had questioned it, and I think we had some major highlight reel knockouts. Joaquin was one of them. Diego Fajeda was one of them. You know, Mackenzie Dern and Angela Hill was like a late notice main event replacement, and sure enough, it delivered for all 25 minutes. It
really did.
There was not a boring exchange in that fight, and I think there's a lot of momentum that happened with fights. I don't know. I think it's tougher to create that momentum at the Apex because the more people that are around in a big arena, the more the energy can kind of build. Yeah. And the fighters, I think you guys feel that.
Oh, yeah.
I think as the finishes pile up, and there's nowhere for that energy to go, and the people are all feeling it. Yeah. In the Apex, it's a little tougher to create that, but sure enough, we have it on the regular. You know?
And I was gonna say, do you guys feel? Because I know when I feel the type of energy that the crowd brings, do you guys feel that as well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I always wondered that. Like, you know, I always wonder what life is like on the other side of the cage. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like I always wonder, like, what is it like being, you know, a commentator? Like, what is that like? Because I know it's like being inside the cage. I'm sure you probably wonder that same thing. Like, what is it like being in there, bro? Yeah.
Well, I do wonder constantly about, you know, obviously you guys are such high stakes in terms of like fight or flight and all the body chemicals that you guys must be feeling. Like it's the ultimate present moment, really, right? There's no chance to think about anything else. And so I do wonder for you guys what it's like to be surrounded by it, if you block it out, if you are aware of it. And I think that's the battle you guys face, because I've talked to fighters where sometimes they're just like, I remember like freaking out. All of a sudden I heard Joe Rogan talking about me, and it's just like, I'm on bottom position. I better worry about getting up instead of worrying about Joe Rogan. Yeah. So, but for us, I think a good broadcaster, especially in the TV world, is when you have more energy in the building and when you have a crowd that's reacting to a great moment or a great fight, it allows us to stop talking. It allows us to allow the fans who are watching to live in it through the crowd. Some of my best moments, I think some of my best moments as a broadcaster came when I didn't say anything for like a long time, and the crowd noise told the story. To me, that's like a very powerful moment in the broadcast. And I love when we get to do that. Yeah. And when you're at the Apex, you can't really do that. But when you're in front of a lot of fans,
you can definitely do that.
You can let them carry the moment.
And you could feel it too. And the different crowd experiences. So speaking of different crowd experiences, I have on my notepad here. Let's see if you can connect the dots.
Sure.
What I'm going to ask you about. I have Mexico/Modelo.
Yeah. I haven't been asked about that in a long time, but for a while it was like every interview I did.
So I saw recently I watched a video of the audience, or sorry, the crowd throwing.
Yeah, somebody just put, every once in a while it'll pop up. It'll be like, hey, you guys remember that time when this happened? And it's like, oh, here we go again. It gets a little more life.
So for the viewers that don't understand what we're talking about, so they had a fight in Mexico.
September 2019, Mexico
Yeah.
City.
Why don't you tell the story?
September 21st, 2019, Mexico City. Yair Rodriguez was in the main event against Jeremy Stevens. Yair kind of threw a kick and he swiped down, and it wasn't an eye poke, it was a scrape, right? Which sometimes are worse.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes are worse. So Jeremy Stevens pausing with the eye. We're 15 seconds into the main event, right? And it's just like, it always sucks when you get a non-conclusive result from any fight, like the Jared Gordon, Bobby Green situation.
Oh,
it happened to Kevin Holland and Kyle Dawkins a few years ago.
Chris Curtis.
Yeah, right.
But not really.
But so like to have that happen in the main event, like in Mexico City, and everyone's like waiting for Yair to fight in his home country, and the crowd was ready, and we're 15 seconds in, and everyone knew that was going to be a great fight, and it was when they ran it back. So the eye poke, and Jeremy Stevens has 5 minutes to get his stuff together and see if his eye would respond and he can continue the fight, and he couldn't, and so the fans were pissed and they started throwing beer, and I just dipped under the table, not out of fear, just out of
smart.
The ability to. What I knew in that moment was that we weren't going to go to commercial. Yeah, you don't go to commercial there. You let it play out, and for all the good and bad and kind of compelling drama that it is for not the fight. Yeah. But I said, instead of sitting here and kind of looking over my shoulder and playing like water balloon fight and trying to be elusive, if I just camp out under this table, there are screens in the corner of the arena. I can sit here, I can look up at that, and until things calm down, I'll just stay live on TV, talk through the moment, be calm, not get splashed on the shoulder with a beer. Like, it wasn't a danger thing.
See,
because they don't throw glass bottles of beer. That's not what it is. For me, it was like, if I'm on TV and back of my neck gets a batch of ice cubes or like a cold beer cup or whatever, then I just didn't want to do that.
I'm thinking the worst. For me, I'm like, back of my head, my exposed, the softest part of your brain. And who knows, something's coming at me.
A small part of me said, you never know what somebody's
right,
gonna throw.
Exactly.
Sometimes people, when they're pissed and drunk, might throw their phone. From 200 yards, not 200 yards away, might throw their phone from 30 yards away and get you. And
or throw anything else.
That either.
Yeah, man.
Shoe, whatever.
Beer can. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, come on. I was like, nope. Nah. I thought that was smart. So I would have done the same thing. Yeah. I would have done the same thing, man. I saw that.
So the other funny part about that is, I don't know if it would ever hit the light of day if Bisping didn't get out his phone. I don't care if he did this, but he got out his phone and he went on his story. And then it was just like, oh, this is what's happening. And then he goes down to me under the table. And I think that's like, because we didn't show it on TV, me sitting underneath and whatever. But then sure enough, like by the time we got back to the hotel, then like there were blogs on it. And I was just like,
I didn't see that one.
That was like my first kind of like viral moment. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or just like the fight fans will take stuff and run with it.
I didn't see that one, the one with Bisping. I saw it from a different angle.
Like, so that's how it got out.
Damn it, Bisping!
I think eventually one day that video would have hit the light of day. We'll see.
Hey, but there's no look. That's why the saying, there's no such thing as bad publicity, especially in the UFC. Like in the UFC, it's crazy. The UFC is one of those craziest sport of all time. The craziest shit could happen, and it's just like you just get blown up. You know what I'm saying?
That's one of those things about this job, because I was always in traditional sports, highlight shows of football and basketball and the major team sports and stuff. And one of the early things about this job that I noticed is I was just like, oh man, it's just like a circus in the best way. Yeah. Like anything goes. Yeah. And the other thing is, like, MMA fans are funny.
Yeah, dude.
They like, sometimes it's off color, but
they're undefeated.
It is funny, man. Like, if you can't laugh at yourself, this is the wrong business for you. But if you can laugh at yourself and have a good sense of humor, it never gets old. Like, there's always something. And it's just like,
they're undefeated, man. I saw one recently with Cody No Love and what was it? The referee Keith Jardine.
Yeah.
And they compared, they like added Keith Peterson, sorry. Yeah. Jardine. Who's Keith Jardine?
He was a fighter, I think.
Yeah.
Jardine or something like
Keith Peterson and Cody No Love together, and they like combined their faces and put like a
if they mated.
Yeah, it was a cartoon character they put, and it looked exactly like both Cody and Keith together. I gotta show you after this.
Okay.
Oh man, I should have found it. But yeah, the fans.
Now, how do you guys feel about it as a fighter? Where it's like sometimes it's funny, but it's I love it. It's funny at your expense if you get knocked out.
Oh, I still love it, man. I'm like, yeah, I love it because here's the thing: you have to understand this is an entertainment business.
It's true.
You know what I mean? Yeah, fighting is dangerous. But this is an entertainment business. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't be sensitive about everything. You gotta just laugh it off. Like I'll go on Twitter or any of those social media sites, and I'll read the comments and see what people say. You know about like when I got knocked out by Middle Cop, and I was like seeing how how funny people were, and I was like at first I was like, oh, that was my first knockout.
Yeah.
So I got in my feelings a little bit, but then I was like, you know what? I'm fine now.
It is right.
Yeah, man. People were like, oh man, he sent you to the shadow realm. I was like, yeah, he did. But you're able to joke.
You'll get more fans when you embrace it. Like
I know.
You see it with other people too, where they're just like, it's all in how you handle it,
Yeah, and I think, what's crazy is the UFC is one of those organizations, right? It's not like you're going to a football game or a basketball game, because fighting is it is inhumane. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fighting
it's primal.
Yes, and you won't see this. Anyone would go to a UFC fight, right? But not anyone would sit and watch a basketball game. Not anyone would sit and watch a football game. You see like these female celebrities like with one hand over their eye, like enjoying the shit out of the fight. So like, oh my God, this is amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. I've seen so many clips of female celebrities where I'm like, I never thought she would like fighting. But they do, because it is primal. It goes back to like, we fought for things. You know what I mean? We're fighting each other. It's so innate.
Yeah.
It's odd. Yeah. But it's like exhilarating and fun.
It feels no matter where you are on the pecking order of the UFC rankings of like if it's for a belt or if it's the first fight of the night, within the moment, it feels very important.
Yes.
It feels like life and death. It feels like it's one-on-one and somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. Yeah. And you never know. Like if you're watching a basketball game and some team is up by 20 points, like that there needs to be time elapsed to make this a good game again. Yeah. If it's going to happen. But you don't know in fighting in the second round if the head kick's coming now. Yeah. If it's not going to come in this fight, but you certainly don't want to look away and miss it.
It's crazy like that you said that, because just like what you said in a basketball game, right? If somebody hits a buzzer beater, it's amazing, right? Somebody scores the last touchdown, is amazing. But there's something different about somebody getting a head kick or a knockout. It's like a different feeling.
Think about the Leon Edwards situation. I was explaining it to my brother, who's a big sports fan, who watches fighting because I'm in the UFC, watches sometimes, but most of the time not. And it's like when you explain to a non-UFC fan, non-MMA fan what Leon Edwards did, it would be like, imagine you're watching a basketball game. Yeah. This team's down 25 points. There's 32 seconds left. And then the other team hits a 26-pointer with 1 second left to win. Yeah. That's what happens. That's, it doesn't happen. You just go, that's the moments that our sport can create that not a lot of other sports can create. Yeah. And it's amazing too. It's amazing. Like, what other sports... You're going to have Donald Trump sitting cage side. Well, he's up in the box if he's there.
Yeah, he's not on the sidelines. You know what I mean?
Front row.
Front row on the sidelines. I'm like, yo, Donald Trump is at on cage side. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was just like,
to watch the fights.
That was wild for me.
It's a very staged, not staged like in a rehearsed way, staged like in a... Like the stage is the octagon, and then who's surrounding the octagon. Like, I don't know, when you watch pay-per-views on TV, sometimes I'll look front row and I'll just go... Like Sean McVay, coach of the LA Rams. I was just like, oh, we got McVay in the house tonight. Yeah. You just see who's there.
Now, does that ever get old for you? Or like, where you're so comfortable with it, you're just like, oh, there's that person. Or is it always like, oh, man, like, you see someone you really like. Yeah. You get excited. Do you get excited every time?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you see like celebrities or something like that, like it used to be one of those things where I don't know, I'd be too into the broadcast or whatever. And now it's like, if somebody's there, it's just, I kind of am established enough in the position where I'm just like, all right, if we got like 4 minutes because there's a commercial break or whatever, it's like, I'll go up and say hi to him. Yeah. Like when I was like walking past Zach Brown in Austin, I was just like, Zach, I was like, hey, love your stuff, man. I started playing piano during the pandemic. I love playing, whatever. And like Steve-O was at the Steve-O would pop up at the Apex all the time.
Yeah.
I told this story recently, like calling fights at the Apex. And we had like a quick knockout in the featured prelim, so that leads to like some time before the top of the hour where take a bathroom break, whatever. We got like 5 or 6 minutes to, which doesn't happen every show. Yeah. So I walk into the bathroom, take a quick break or whatever, and like Steve-O walks in. Yeah. He's like, "Oh, what up, Fitzgerald?" Like in his like little voice, and I'm just like, "Steve-O, what's going?" It's like not like we're like buddies, but he knows who I am, and I certainly know who he is. Yeah. And then like after you walk out, like later that night, I'm just like, "This is bananas." Like Steve-O's just like, "Hey, what's going on, Fitz? What's going?" And then like you see him afterwards, and Bisping chokes him unconscious.
I saw that
viral clip, and I'm just like, "This is my life now."
I saw that.
I'm
man.
like talking with Steve-O. And then,
but this life doesn't get boring.
No, that's the best part about it.
Yeah, this is like you're living one of the greatest stories ever. You know what I'm saying? Like
thank you, man.
This traveling the world.
Yeah.
Just, you know what I mean? Watching people fight each other and meeting people and it shows your interaction with Steve-O. It shows your comfortability. You know what I'm saying? Like, whereas before you're like, "Oh no, I can't get up. I gotta, just in case commercial break ends quick and I'm not there."
Yeah.
You're freaking out. You're like on edge, but you're
especially at the Apex, man. It's like my living room now.
I know.
I'm just like cruising around there. I know all the ins and outs. I know all the, whatever. Yeah. But even on the road still, too, like you said, like when I was covering team sports, one of the things about the UFC that I love is how story driven it is. Like when you're making the walk to the octagon, it's like, sure, we're going to talk about your skills and how you were a college wrestler and it led you to MMA because they shut down your wrestling program. And by the way, you got some powerful striking and this is what you've been working on. Like we're going to talk about your fight X's and O's.
You know a lot about me.
That's my job. That's my job is to know a lot about you guys, almost in a creepy way.
You're right. I was like, is that?
But like I think just as engaging for fans and especially good to talk about during your walks to the octagon on that 2 minutes that we have is like, who is O'Day Osborne? Like, who are you? Yeah. And certainly we'll see the fighting skills on display. That's what you're about to go in there and do. But it's also nice to pay homage to like what makes you you. Yeah. What makes you unique. Yeah. It's a guy that like worked as a teacher. He likes to mentor the youth because he had a rough upbringing. Born in Jamaica, didn't take a bath with hot water until he was 9 years old, and he moved to New York City. I only know that because O'Day told me that yesterday. That would have been real creepy if you didn't tell me that story like 24 hours ago.
I don't think many people. There's probably 5 people that know that story.
Wow, how about that, huh? Well, it's coming to Fitz Nation.
Hey, that's what's up, man. But yeah, man, that shows your comfortability, and that's awesome. And it's awesome to see it, like I said, on the other side of the octagon because as fighters, I go through the same thing. When I'm fighting at the Apex, I'm like, shit, I'm fighting in my living room. I've never lost a fight at the Apex. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I'm home. Yeah. Like
comfortable.
Right. My last fight, I got kicked so hard in the nuts. And I'm like on the side, I'm having a conversation with like you and Bisping, like, "Oh man," I'm like, this, he's like, "How you feeling?" I'm like, "It feels like I'm in a fight right now."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that's right. I forgot he asked you that.
Yeah. I was
How
like,
you feeling, O'Day? I know.
I'm like, crazy. It feels like I'm in a fight right now. I'm having but that shows how comfortable I am. Yeah. To be able to like get kicked in the nuts, have a conversation with you guys on the side, ride it out, get back up, go back to being in a fist fight. You know what I mean? It's crazy. This game is. I've never understood the phrase "there's levels" until I hit 29 years old, and I was like, "Oh, I understand now what people mean by there's levels to this." You know what I'm saying? There's levels. There's different levels of when you start something, when you're in the middle of something, and when you're at the end of that thing. I don't remember. I think it was you. Maybe it wasn't you, but somebody said. I want to say it was you. When I forgot who they were talking about, when they got their black belt. Was it you that said it? Was it Vanessa? She's talking about Vanessa. Yeah. It was you. When Vanessa said she got her black belt, she said, "Wow, I have so much more to learn." Yes. It's kind of the same, it's the same principle in fighting. You know what I'm saying? When you do get that comfortability, you realize like, wow, I have a lot to do. Yeah.
But you're like okay with it.
Yes.
Because you just settle into the fact that it's a book that never ends.
Yes, that's huge. You become okay with it, whereas before, you're just like
you're trying to finish that book, and be like, I want to know all the stuff
Yep.
so that I can really kind of thrive. And what you have to figure out about your career, and this goes for basically any career, is that the book will never end.
It never ends.
Because I can be a 70-year-old broadcaster, and you better believe that there's going to be new things that are going to be happening from now until I'm 70.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, if you had everything figured out from 2023, those rules don't apply anymore. Just like the rules of 1993 are pretty antiquated now, based in the broadcasting and media world.
Well,
and so you just
first of all,
you just have to
hold on.
Stay adaptable.
First of all, I don't know who you're calling antiquated. First of all,
What do you mean?
Like, I don't know what that means.
Antiquated means like old and outdated.
Okay, thank you. All
so
right,
like
continue.
in 1993, there was no internet, so to watch anything with like video, it was like VCR. TV, cable TV, movies, whatever. And now think about if you were abiding by those rules in 2023, it'd be like you're not going to get far.
So antiquated derived from antique?
Yeah.
Interesting. So you learn something new every day.
There you go, O'Day. That's why I'm here.
That's what's up. I might use that. So talk me through, take a sip of your water first. Let's listen to it.
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Talk me through a day in a life. What's a day in a life for you? Like fight night, like because.
Did you not see my Instagram? No, I'm just kidding.
Under the octagon one?
No. I did that one too. But yeah, that's a good question. But I actually have just started doing a lot more behind the scenes content for like social media and
I like
my YouTube channel.
I like those, especially the octagon. For whatever reason, it's a stupid thing,
dude.
But I love it.
Octagon video, blew up.
It's so dumb,
but for the fact that everybody can make their John Jones joke, and then also for the fact that it's just like, what is under the octagon?
Yeah, right.
I had that video. I think I was like lying in bed, and I was just like, what if I just picked up the curtain and crawled under there and kept my phone rolling?
Chase, can we get that?
And so
I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
It's on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But anyways, so day in the life. You want me to go through this?
Yes. Yep.
So fight nights at the Apex have become pretty routine because I've done so many of them at this point. But the big difference, and it took me a while to get used to this, is before the pandemic, fight nights were the culmination of a week on the road. You're traveling to, you name it, Stockholm, Sweden, Santiago, Chile, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Sacramento, Tampa, Florida, wherever. So you go there and you're there for Thursday and Friday, and then all of a sudden it's fight day and you can like get up and zone in and you're at a hotel room. So it's very different at the Apex because I get up, my baby's sleeping here.
Yeah.
My other son is over here. My wife is still sleeping, so I'm creeping out of bed, trying not to wake her up. I'm putting away the dishes. I'm, feeding my baby, like making sure my other son has his breakfast. My wife gets up, and then it's like, okay, now I can go into work mode.
Yeah.
So it's very normal to start the day, and then I've adapted where I'd like to do a good amount of prep on the day of the fights. Whereas before, like when I'm on the road, and I still like this, when I'm on the road, I like to prep like crazy during the week so that on fight day, I could just like go for a walk in whatever city we're in, get a coffee. Yeah. I'm certainly going to like look over some articles and make sure my notes are all good, but I don't like to do a lot of prep the day of the fight on the road. But at home, I find that it helps me tune in and like get in the zone of like, I'm about to go on ESPN and call some UFC fights, even though I was, putting away dishes and folding laundry an hour ago.
And do you almost, when you're looking at a fighter, do you almost like see their story almost like when you're looking up all this stuff, you're like, oh, I didn't know that about this person. Oh, that's cool. Can you almost like visualize, or I don't know, do you almost like look at a fighter differently because of what you've gone over through your notes?
Not really. I mean, it just depends on, obviously what I want to do is know you guys as well as I can so that I have different options with which to tell the story.
Okay.
I can't summarize your life on your walk to the octagon, but I can pick out something that's interesting and then tee it up to the analysts to get their take on how you fight and who you are. But I can't tell the same story about you every time.
Yeah.
So after you fight in the UFC a handful of times and after we have a good rapport, then I want to know what's new. Right? Like what's important to you now? Yeah. Because 6 fights ago you might not have even known this concept that you're like super into now. And so I just want to kind of stay updated on who they are now so I can tell that story with each fighter with each time. And some fighters there's a ton of info.
Yeah.
And some fighters there's not
a lot.
right? Like some fighters they'll come in and it's their UFC debut, but you can find an old article from when they were like, I remember Hunter Azure, who's on The Ultimate Fighter right now. He's from like a town of like 200 people in Northeast Montana, and he's Native American descent. And I think he definitely won state championships in wrestling. I think his older brother won state championships in wrestling. I think his dad was like a coach or whatever.
Wow.
And so you can find like an article from a Montana small town newspaper about Hunter Azure and how he was a wrestling state champion. And then now he's on the Contender Series, and then he made it to the UFC. And obviously now his story has grown where now he's on The Ultimate Fighter to try to get back to the UFC. And if he does, that'll be a new wrinkle to his story. Right. So you can find those things, but then sometimes there's a guy from Brazil and it's his like debut, and it's like, okay, I know that he's fought like 7 times before, but I can't exactly find like the small town newspaper article that says all his background, and you kind of got to just go on what you find. You know?
Yeah, so you're almost like a journalist and a commentator.
A little bit. You kind of are a research. I mean, it's a lot of research.
Yeah.
And it's like, it comes in varying forms. Obviously, like on Instagram, you can look up somebody, and if they have a new baby from 2 months ago, you just go, oh, did you have a new baby?
Shout out to Drew Dober.
You know? Exactly. Yeah, Drew Dober had a daughter the other day.
Yeah, shout out to Drew Dober.
Yeah, you know, so like there's no, you know, one way to get the information that helps.
That's awesome, man. I love that. I love that. And I think other people besides myself enjoy, you know, I'm calling it the other side of the octagon. You know what I'm saying? Because I always wonder, like what are their life like? You know what I'm saying? Because I know what I got to go through. I'm like, what do they do? You know what I mean? Like, so it's interesting.
Well, fighting is such a small part of what you guys do.
Yeah, it's very small.
Like you fought one time this year, right?
Yep.
You fought, yeah, you fought
once, yeah,
right. And now you're gonna fight later this summer, and that might be it. You might get another one, right? But let's say you fight 2 or 3 times, and let's say you fight 3 times and they go all 3 rounds. Yeah. Not hoping for that for you, but you know, let's say it happens. That's how it is, That's 45 minutes of your year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That leaves a lot of other minutes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So who are you in the other minutes, right? And in the months in between. Yeah.
I like that. So Chase has your Octagon video queued
Under
up.
the Octagon?
Yes. So Chase.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Let's see.
Have you ever wondered what's underneath the octagon? Heavy cable action. I mean, look at the ground here. So here's the red corner stool, side of the octagon. Let's go underneath. Here's the spotlight. And so what these will do is they shine up through that grate. I don't think that I can get way down here. There's the apex floor. I just don't want to get stuck. So there's a platform. So here we are. Underneath, I made it. Like I told you, behind the scenes, like no other channel in the UFC.
There you go.
Ever wondered?
There you go, man.
That was amazing. I was just like, I probably watched that video 4 times.
Yeah.
Like, and it's so stupid.
Good, man. Helping the algorithm.
It's stupid, but I was like, I love it. Yeah. I don't know why.
What I've figured out is that
oh man.
What I'm trying to do now is I've realized that one of my biggest gifts to fight fans is my access.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And this is a game that for you guys as fighters and for other characters within the fight game, it's about who that person is and what they're going to say next and what their opinions are. And I don't always feel comfortable giving my opinions, and I obviously have them, but I don't want to be known for that. I'd much rather be known for something that like fight fans can kind of universally like. Yeah. And so I just go, well, I can be the guy on the inside that shows you all sorts of cool stuff. Yeah. And maybe you were asking yourself this, and maybe you weren't, but now you are. Yeah. And maybe you've always wondered this. And not everybody has the UFC credentials that I do in terms of like, I can walk into almost any room in the UFC headquarters and Apex and warehouse and whatever. And I could show you a lot of cool stuff about how you get it done. And so if I find something interesting, then I'll just be like, well, let me make a video about it. That'd be cool. As long as it wouldn't get me in trouble in terms of like releasing some information that shouldn't be out there. Yeah. Know?
No, that's cool because when people see fighters in the octagon, they're like, okay, we know what they're doing. You know what I mean? They're fighting and you see everything. But you don't really know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? What you do leading up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, both with my role, because a lot of people obviously like to know the insight into how a broadcast works because they watch it on TV. And so it's like a how it's made type of thing. But then also like, you know, how the UFC machine works. There's a lot of interesting wrinkles of like, yes, this is a multi-billion-dollar company, and it's not about just like how does an octagon get to Sao Paulo, Brazil, and get built in this arena that had a concert in it the night before, but now it's an octagon? Where did that come from?
That's true.
Because it's a very specific piece of sporting equipment.
You should do an Instagram video on that.
Of course, yeah.
Because now I want to know.
Believe me, way more's coming.
Now I want to know.
My brain is churning.
Oh
too
man,
much.
that's because now I want to know. And I hear this octagon, and there's octagons all over the country, all over the world. So there's one in China here, one in England, one in Australia. And Mexico, right?
We have several different satellite offices.
Yeah.
So there's one in Brazil for South America. You know, like.
But how did they get there?
Good question. I don't know.
Hey, Instagram.
I'm gonna go find out. No, so there's
Tune into his Instagram for this.
What's funny? You know what's funny? It's like next time we're at the like headquarters of the Apex, or whatever, I'll point out to you like where they keep an octagon around here. Like obviously there's the Apex octagon, but there's a UFC warehouse. I just did a video on this on my Instagram too, where like they keep all sorts of stuff. It's like Costco times 5.
Wow.
It's huge.
Wow.
And they keep all the parts to build an octagon. And I never used to understand these emails that we get. It's just like, hey, everybody, last load for the show in Boston is on Tuesday, so have everything ready to go on the truck by then. And that didn't apply to me, so I just delete those emails.
Yeah.
And then I saw the warehouse, and it's just like, oh, the last load, it means like if you need your stuff in Boston, you better get it on this truck, and the truck's leaving on Tuesday or whatever it is. That's where they put the octagon.
Wow.
They pack up the fence pieces and the platforms and the boards. It's like a touring concert act that needs all their trusses and their lights and their stage set up, and they're just going to go on their 18-wheelers and get it to the cities.
Yeah.
And we did the same thing with octagon equipment, all the gloves that you guys get, your fight kits, all the merchandise, promo materials, the huge UFC letters that they put out in front of the arena for fans to take pictures, all that stuff. It's got to get there somehow.
Man, I'll tell you what though, I do not ever want to be in charge of something like that. Can you imagine?
That's a lot of logistics.
Can you imagine like
that's a lot of headaches.
Messing up and forgetting one piece to an octagon?
So how about this too? And then so like the TV equipment has to get there too, which boggles my mind based on how, like sometimes like early on when I was like working for the UFC, and we would go to arenas, and you don't understand the scope of how much it takes to get 2 fighters to fight, right? And obviously 13 times over. Yeah. But that's 26 fighters. There are hundreds of people in all different departments that it takes to pull off a successful event like that. Wow. And sometimes I remember walking around backstage, like underneath in the arena, looking around, and all this UFC stuff that's going on, all these staffers, like even the security guards that are hired for that, whatever. And I'm just like, how do we make any money? We gotta pay. Like this is like there is so much going on. Yeah. It's crazy.
And do you ever pat yourself on the back like, man, we did a good job. Like we did a good job this show.
What I made apparent very quickly, because it was a very new job for me when I started calling play-by-play. And it's like, there's a lot of responsibility. Now, I'm never one of those like, do you know who I am? And I'm more important than you type of thing. That's not who I am. But I do realize that it's an important role, and it's the spearhead for our TV product. Yeah. And that's just something that was never lost on me. And I would just go, I need to do my best and play my part to make sure we put a great product on TV, because when we get on the shuttle to go to the airport on Sunday morning after we did the event, I want to get on that shuttle and see all these other people and all these other, you know, people that play their role for the UFC, and it'd just be like, you know what, I did my part, that we did a good show this week. You know, because it's like, you know.
That's why I like you, Brendan, because you're genuine. You're a genuine guy, and I love that. And I even wrote down on my notes, you don't force the cheese. We talked about that one time. That's like one of my favorite things about, you know, your Instagram videos that you put out. You just naturally have a wit. You know what I'm saying? You're naturally funny. Right. And for those of you guys who haven't checked out Brendan's Instagram, check it out, man. He's got some incredible comedic skits on there. You got your commentator role, and then you got your Instagram where you're just like, you know, it's super funny. Like I said, it's you don't force the cheese. It just comes naturally. You know who else is incredibly funny for me? I think is probably and this is my opinion. I think he's the funniest fighter in the UFC. Is Joaquin Buckley.
Yeah, he's pretty,
Joaquin.
He's sneaky funny. Like he's underrated. Like,
He's
not a
so
lot of people
underrated.
know it, but like
why?
Yeah.
Why don't people know how funny this dude is?
No, so like Joaquin is like also like fearless.
Yeah.
Like he'll say like fearless in the octagon and all that, but then also just like he doesn't abide by like these social norm manners of like like a lot of fighters will be on fighter meetings with us and stuff, and it's just like, okay, you talk to me or John first, like the play-by-play announcers kind of lead off, and then we toss it to whoever our analysts are, Bisping or Cruz or Felder or DC. And so I remember Buckley was like, maybe he was new or maybe it was his second fight or something, and DC comes on, he said something wrong about Joaquin, like just like, I don't know, maybe he had like a result wrong from the previous whatever. And like Joaquin was just like, hey, hold up, DC, don't be saying that. Like just like, and it's just like the new guys usually just DC comes on and they're just like, oh my god.
But in the octagon he said that?
No, like in like a pre-fighter meeting, right? Yeah. But most fighters will come on and they'll just be like, oh my god, Michael Bisping, I can't believe I'm talking to you. And like Buckley was just like, hold up, DC, hold up. I'm not done with my story, DC. I'm not done, like putting him in his place almost. It's like, oh man, this guy's got this Joaquin's rules.
He always reminds me of like Smokey. Have you ever seen Boys in the Hood?
Oh, I have, but I kind of forget. It's been a long time.
So there's a clip. Play that. There's a clip. Oh my gosh. So I guess he was talking about Shavkat. And there's a small 5-second clip of him talking about.
Let's see.
Shavkat Ramadan.
That's right.
Now he a killer now.
Yeah.
He really about that life.
Yeah.
But guess what? I'm about that life too. You hear me? So Shavkat.
It's that small clip. Just sums up his entire personality.
Right, exactly right. Like fearless. Like I'll take on Shavkat tomorrow.
Yeah.
But also, like, I know who he is.
Yeah, right. He's like, I'm him. I'm him.
Yeah.
He's like, Shavkat's him, but I'm him too.
Yeah. Joaquin, man, he snuck onto the scene, man, in such a big way. Like,
I know. I don't think
Kevin
he gets...
Holland on, like, no notice. It was
like
24 hours notice, or, it was like 2 days or something. It was just like, here's Kevin Holland.
I know, man. He don't get enough credit, man. I love that guy. He's just, like...
Does he live in... He doesn't live in Vegas, though.
No, he lives in Michigan.
Yeah, I know, but he spends some time out here.
Yeah, he comes out here quite a bit. Man. He lives in Michigan. That whole Michigan crew, man.
I know.
There's so many people from that area that, like, fought and trained together. Charles Johnson, Joaquin Buckley, Jamal Hill. Chaos. Cody Stamen. There's like a small but not small amount of people that come from that small area. As a
Wisconsin guy, you spent some time in Wisconsin.
Yeah,
what do you think of people from Michigan?
I mean, depends on what part of Michigan they're from.
Gotcha.
But they're pretty nice, you know what I mean? Yeah. The Midwest, people from the Midwest in general are pretty nice. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's the one thing I noticed when I would go to Vegas or to Florida or to California. I'm like, people here aren't as nice. The Midwest, people are like, hey, come here. Let me help you with something. Let me give you this.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want from me? You know what I mean? Like, when someone calls you over, like, hey, do you want this? Yeah. That's the Midwest.
Yeah.
Just super nice, man. I do love that. I love that a lot.
Yeah.
But I think that is all for we have today.
Already?
Yeah. Unfortunately, man. I could talk to you. Like we said yesterday, I could talk to you for 6 hours.
Well, I'm happy to come in anytime. It's always great to talk to you.
Yes. Now, I would love to have you again on the show. Also, I would love to have you possibly, we'll talk about this more off camera, possibly tour one of my students, give them a tour.
Oh.
Yeah, and, we'll do like a little snippet for your, social media and
try
stuff
to make
like
that happen.
Yeah, man.
I just showed an intern yesterday. She was she's gonna intern with us in the month of June in one of our production departments, and she wants to be on TV one day. And I was just like, here, come in the studio, watch our On the Line team. We'll get you an IFB, and like you can listen into what's going on and whatever. Yeah, always happy to do that, man.
Love that, man.
Gotta pay it forward because
thank you.
People did that to me one time.
Yeah, thank you, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. And like I said, such a pleasure to have you on the show. Always, you were my favorite. You are my favorite announcer.
Wow. Okay. Wow. You thought about it.
No, because I
went in on it.
Because I say, I was like, you're one up. I was like, nah.
Listen, I just want to say this because a lot of people try to play the game online where they like rank us and like who's better, whatever.
You guys are all amazing.
We have a great broadcast team.
You guys are all amazing.
Like top to bottom. Like I think one of the initiatives for the UFC as they were growing, right? And as they got onto Fox and whatever, it was just like, if we're going to take the next step, we need
Yeah.
a top quality product. It needs to sound the right way on TV so
Yep.
that ESPN can be a destination for us one day. And I'm just very proud that I'm part of it.
Yeah,
just
and
like super grateful that they hold me in regard
Mm-hmm.
where they trust me with this role.
well, that's because they see what I see. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I lived in Kingston, Jamaica. I lived in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah.
Lived in Florida. Lived in North Carolina. All over the world, man. Sorry, all over the country.
Yeah.
But whenever I see a certain type of character, I'm like, oh, that guy's a good character, man. And I see that about you. You know, you have a great spirit about you. You know what I'm
man.
saying? You got a great way about you, for real.
Thanks, man. I
So
appreciate
that's thing
that.
they see
You
the
sure
same
we
thing I
can't
see.
continue this conversation for another few minutes? I'm just saying nice things about me, O'Day.
I'm just
Anytime.
saying they see what I see,
Awesome,
man.
I
So
appreciate it.
once again, it was a pleasure having you on the show. That's all for today, guys. My name is what's my name?
O'Day.
Yeah, my name is O'Day Osborne, the Jamaican sensation, UFC flyweight, and we have Brendan Oh my gosh, what is with me? Brendan Fitzgerald, and this is Wagwan with O'Day Osborne.
I'm gonna get up some muscles.